work settings, and let's do 1.5 springs and then the small ball, and start laying on your back. We're just going to work on moving a little bit more quickly today, kind of get everything going a bit. Bring yourself to laying on your back, ball between your inner thighs, keep the carriage in, round your pelvis under and roll up, squeezing into the ball. At the top, do a couple little pulses into the ball, keeping the hips up but squeezing in, maybe 3, 6 pulses, and then roll back down. And as you do this a couple times on your own timing, try to keep the carriage from moving. So feel like you're pulling your heels towards your tail. It's lighter in terms of the carriage is going to want to slide out on you. You just keep pulling the heels to the tail to get the back of the legs working. And then keeping the carriage in one more time like that, rolling up, articulating through the spine. Little squeezes into the ball, trying to not let the ball rebound your legs back apart. And then squeeze into the ball and roll back out. Keep the ball, connect your abdominals into your imprints, and lift your legs up to tabletop. Nod your chin, flex your upper body up. You can extend your legs if much you want, pumping the arms in hundreds. Inhaling and exhaling for 5. As you're pumping, if you need to bend the knees at any time, you can. If you want to go back and forth on the exhale, you can extend the legs. Inhale, bend. If you're trying to make it a little more difficult, lower your legs, keeping your abdominal connection, trying to not let the legs kind of turn around the ball. And 3 more sets, inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through pursed lips. Strong pump of the arms. Last set, inhaling and exhale, bend the legs back in, set your upper body back down, take the ball and bring it onto the carriage behind you and lean your upper back against it. Ideally, unless you're really tall, you'll be able to scooch forward towards the edge near the springs, and then the ball shouldn't really be resting against the shoulder rest. That would make it easier. So find a place where you're in flexion, your ribs are coming towards your hips. You're going to push the carriage out just a little bit. Hold the carriage there. Feet are parallel, heels on the bar. Reach your arms forward. If you want to add hand weights, you can, but just lift your arms and circle them around. Inhaling as the arms go up, exhaling around. The whole time you're here, it's going to be tempting to kind of lay back. I want you to keep sliding ribs to hips and trying to flex forward further. So you should feel abdominals working already. And inhaling, yeah. And Melanie, if you want, you could use a foam roller. If you have a foam roller and you don't have a ball, that works pretty well as an option. Yeah, exactly. It'll probably touch the shoulder rest, that's okay. And then last one, and then just do a little pulse, push, pull. So sliding ribs to hips, push, pull, it's not heavy. And start to try to take a little teeny march. So 1 foot lifts as you press out, and then you set it down as you come in. You're trying to keep everything else centered. Little push, pull, push, pull. You're looking at your legs, so make sure they're tracking well and they're staying in line with the center of the hip joint. If you feel your shoulders resting against the shoulder rests, then you're too far back. The ball needs to be in a different position. If you don't have enough air in your ball, then you might need to use a foam roller instead. Like Ginge, if you feel that in your neck, switch to the foam roller. And then lift one leg up, keep it up, and push out and pull back in. It's not about trying to go all the way out. It's more about trying to keep centered on the ball, no shifting side to side. So the ball, if you feel like you're sliding, feel free to pull the back of your shirt a little bit down so that skin sticks to the carriage a little bit better. Push, pull, and look down at your pelvis. Make sure you're still level. You're not tipped over to the side that's lifted. And a couple more. pushing out, pulling in. If you want to add, lift and lower the arms. Lift and lower, 2 more. Lift and lower, last one. And come back in, set that foot down. Try the other side, pushing out, pulling in. Look down at the pelvis, make sure you're level. Look at your leg, make sure your leg is parallel and tracking well. Add the arms lifting and lowering if you like. Nice. Lift your arms as you push the leg towards straight so that you're lengthening the lever that's challenging the torso connection. Exactly. And last 2. And last one. And bring the carriage back in. Adjust if anything's gotten crooked or you've been shoved off the back of the ball. And bring your hands behind your head. Lay back and you'll probably feel the shoulder rest pretty quickly because there's not a ton of room there. And then flex forward, ribs towards hips. So let yourself go back without just flaring the ribs. You're going into extension, but controlling the ribs and sliding ribs to hips. And flexing back, you can let the elbows open a little bit and nod the chin, flex ribs to hips. One more time. It shouldn't feel super hard. It should feel more about extension, mobilizing. And then come back in and flex your feet again. Push your carriage out just a bit. Reach the hand closer to the camera forward. And then you're going to rotate your upper body open to that side and come back to the center. If you want to have the other arm forward, it's a little easier. And rotate. You're not trying to lay back though. You're trying to stay flexed up. Rotate and come back to the center and rotate. You might feel the ball move a little bit underneath you, like it rolls to one side and then it comes back to the center. Look towards your hand as it opens. One more. And bring your hand behind your head. Reach the other one forward and rotate. Feel the ball roll away from the direction you're moving towards. Rotate, trying to slide ribs to hips the whole time. Last one. Coming back to the first side, reach both arms forward. Do a little bit of pulse through your legs, push, pull, just like 1 inch or so. And then I want you to do 4 of these little pulses, then lift one leg and rotate 4 times in that direction. Rotate 4, 3, 2, you're rotating towards the leg that's lifted, and 1, put your foot down, little pulse. 2, 3, lift the second foot, rotate and center. And if you want to do a little push-pull as you're rotating, you can add that in through the standing leg. And set the foot down, little pulse. Feels light with both legs. 2, 3, 4, add that same pulse as you rotate. It's too much to coordinate, don't worry about it, don't add the leg. And come back and pulse. 2, 3, keep sliding ribs to hips. 4, and rotate. Find a timing that'll work for you. Let's do 1 more each side. Pulsing in the middle. The pulses in the middle can be a little faster because it's lighter, it's easier to move. Less going on. Push, pull. Good. And set the foot down and pulse. Should be about starting your last side. And try to stay flexed up. Good. And coming back to the center. Bring your body a little lower on the ball, so the ball's a little more between the shoulder blades. See if you can pick one leg up to tabletop and then the other. If your body tips off the ball, then you need to adjust where you're at. If it doesn't work on the foam roller against your shoulder blades, then feel free to get rid of the roller. And then see if you can go into a slow single leg stretch, only take the leg as low as you can keep from tipping off the ball. So you're not going up off of the ball, your back stays touching it. Pull in your low abs, pull in your low abs. There's a little rotational challenge here with the ball. And 4, 3, 2, and last one. Come back in, set your feet down, sit up, look at your springs. Let's switch to a half spring. And then put the ball now against the shoulder rest and then lean against it. So it'll move around a little less. Round your back, super light. And keep the carriage in for a second. Lift one leg up to tabletop and bring the other toes onto the bar. You should be able to see the bar the whole time. And then if that feels good, hold on to the side of the carriage. You can do a little bit of a jump off the ball, but sorry, not off the ball, off the bar. It's not a very big movement. Obviously, you have to get your toes to touch back down. We're propped up like this because I want you to be able to see your foot. Should feel your abdominals working as well. The longer you suspend in the air and are floating, the more time you have to hold the position, so it should feel a little harder, but make sure you're watching the bar and gonna land back on the bar. Yeah, nice. Good, one more on this side. Come back in, set that foot down, lift the other leg up. Find a little teeny hop. It might be different from one side to the other. So start small and then gradually add duration to your jump by pushing a little harder. Feel how the leg fully straightens. We're going to come back to this later. So this connection, feel how the muscles around the knee pull up. Three, 2, and last one. And come all the way back in. Awesome. You can leave your carriage, grab a block if you need one for underneath your head for laying on your side. You can adjust the headrest however it's comfortable. Let's put the foot bar down and switch to one red spring. And lay down facing the camera, slide the strap up onto your knee. Once you get the strap up towards your knee, put the ball between the back of your heel and your back of your leg. If you drop it, it's okay. It's not possible usually for you to get it by yourself, so just let it go. But what I want you to start to feel right now is by holding the ball, your leg is in a certain shape, and you're gonna try to keep that shape the whole time. Pull your pant leg up a little bit if you wanna have more of a sticky skin surface to help you hold on to that ball. So you're pulling your heel towards your tail, and you're trying to hold on to the ball. Inevitably, we're probably all gonna drop it. Maybe not, but then start to take the hip forward and back. I think it depends on how much air is in the ball and how big the ball is compared to the squeeze you can create. So forward and back. You can grab the ball with your hand at any time. Forward and back, deep crease in the front of the hip. If the ball is feeling like it's gonna fall out at any moment, take it away, but don't change the shape of your leg. So your leg stays in the exact same position. You're not straightening and bending it. You're creasing in the hip. Connect to the back of the glute as your leg goes back. Waist is lifted. So there's a little mouse house underneath the side of the hips. And obviously only go back as far as you're not going to hit yourself in the face with the rope. 2 more. Yeah, nice. And then bring the leg forward, lift the leg up, and lower the leg back down. So horizontal abduction. Yeah. As you rotate or open the leg, try not to let the pelvis fall backwards, that you keep the pelvis stacked Maybe put your top hand on the top side of the pelvis so you can keep that. Yeah, awesome, everyone. Try not to leave the heel down and the knee just goes up. The whole thing is opening like a book and closing like a book cover. The knee is never below the foot. The whole thing's opening. Yeah, and then take this into a circle. So push back, up and around, figure out how to make that a full circle, keeping the pelvis still, keeping that lift of the bottom side of the waist. See if you can push back further. So the rope comes within, like, I'd say, I don't know, a centimeter from my face because I'm trying to open my hip fully. So don't shorten the movement and have the legs circling just in front of you. It's got to go in the full range. Reverse the direction. Around. Nice. And you might feel the bottom hip working too. It is. Yeah, nice. And last one. And then take the strap, slide it down to your ankle or your arch of your foot, whichever you prefer. It's heavy. Push out and then just straight leg forward and back 4 times. And elongate through the back of the leg. Try not to drop your foot below the height of the reformer. So your foot is staying in line with the sit bone. Nice, Anita. Last one. Hold your leg out on that diagonal and just lift and lower. Think of knee and toe pointed slightly down so you're lifting from the outer hip. We're not going down in front of the carriage rail here. You're way out towards the corner of the foot bar and lifting and lowering. Yeah, there we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Bend your leg in, take your foot out of the loop, roll onto your back. Obviously don't fall off the reformer, but extend that same leg that was straight up towards the ceiling. Rotate and look in the opposite direction. So you're letting one knee be straight, one leg be bent. The straight leg is the one you're stretching. You're rotating in the direction you were just facing and then coming back up to the ceiling. Rotate, don't just hang out there. I want an active stretch since we're in the middle of a workout. Rotate and come back. And last one, rotate and come back. And then you can find your ball if you want to use the ball on the second side to get set up. And once you get set up on the second side with your top knee bent, strap is up onto the knee. You can pull up your pant leg a little bit to give your skin a little more tactile surface against the ball to hopefully help hold on to it. Deep crease in the front of the hip. So your leg is going forward and back, pulling the heel towards the tail, long through the torso. If you're gonna lose the ball, feel free to let it go, but try to keep the shape as though the ball were still there. Trying to find that connection between the heel and the sit bone. Waist is lifted, shoulders are stacked. You're not just collapsed there, you're supported in the position. Yeah, nice. Two more. And then bring the leg forward and lift and lower the leg. The reformer won't really move. Pelvis is staying stacked. So you're not letting yourself tip backwards as the leg lifts. Trying to keep everything still. Lift and lower, and lift and lower. And then taking it into those circles, either direction. full range. Try to push the heel back so the knee comes underneath the torso. One more this direction. And then reverse, press around. Feel the back of the hip pressing your back. So you're trying to find that gluteal fold area and move from right underneath it. Last one. And then you can slide the strap down to the ankle or to the foot. Press your leg out onto the diagonal just 4 times. Big sweep of the leg forward. Should feel kind of good in that it's lengthening, but also hard. One more time like that. And sweep forward and press back. Reach the leg out towards the corner of the foot bar. Flex the foot and just little lift and lower. Knee and toe is pointed slightly more down. Should feel like you get more outer hip work. Trying to not really move the carriage. 4, 3, 2, and last one. And then bend your knee, take your foot out of the strap and roll onto your back. Straighten whichever leg was just on the top. And don't fall off the reformer. Rotate to one side and come back to the center. So your knee and your leg tip, you kind of rotate in the opposite direction with your upper body. But yes, the shoulder rests are a little bit in your way, so it's not like you can turn your upper body a lot, but there's some rotation and come back. One more time, rotate and come back. And then you can set your legs down, roll off to the side. You can get rid of the block and we're gonna put the box on. Long box, arms pulling straps, most likely one red spring. We've been talking about going a little heavier, so if you want to try a little heavier, you're welcome to. Make sure the straps are in a place that you'll be able to get them. Grab the ball if you're using a ball, and once, oops, I dropped it. And once you lay down on the box, you're going to put the ball between the ankles and stretch your legs out. Adjust so your chest is forward over the box and hold up onto the ropes. Start with just plow, so reaching long through the legs, flex the upper body over the box, pull the arms down and back, lift yourself up into a little upper back extension, and then lengthen back forward. Inhaling to pull the hands towards the hips and exhaling to lengthen. If you drop the ball, just let it go. Try not to, but if you do, don't get off and worry about it. Good. As you're pulling back, open across the front of the chest. Connect to those mid-back muscles. Yeah. Awesome, everyone. Reaching through the arms and trying to incorporate the lift of the upper back as the arms come back to the hips. Twice more. And last one, hold your arms back by your hips, bend and straighten your elbows. Tricep presses 8, 7, 6. Open across the front of the collarbone. Keep the back of the shoulder working. Last one. And return the arms back down. You can put your straps back on the hooks or the rails. And then release the ball. Hopefully it'll go off the reformer. And then scooch back just a little bit. You'll feel the box gets a little tippier. Don't go back so far. You're gonna literally tip it over. And hold on anywhere on the carriage. And just bring your legs together, 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 together. So you're turned out, you're going apart and together. If you wanna play around with backing up more, you just have to keep enough weight on the front of the box that you're not gonna literally fall over. flex and point if you can, flex, point, flex, point. In a little upper back extension. Should feel the back of the legs working. Four, three, two, and last one. Let the legs rest. You might need to slide forward to get off of here, but come off of there safely. And then let's switch to the half spring. Come up to kneeling on the box. If you want, you can do this without the strap. Otherwise, put one knee in the center of the width, the foot on the ledge at the side, and pull the strap back to the arch or to the ankle. Press your leg back and reach it back forward. As we do this a few times, try not to let your body shift forward. So you're not putting all your weight in your wrist. It should feel like your arms are really light and that the work is through the low abdominals and the pelvis and the legs. If this feels too light, you're welcome to make it heavier at any point. One more time. Press the leg back, hold it there. Flex your foot, bend your knee in underneath you and press it back out. Bend in, press it out. If you want to play around with having the knee point down, parallel, and alternating between turn to out, more like dog on a fire hydrant, you can alternate between those two. Again, you shouldn't feel a lot of work in your hands, your wrists, your shoulders. If you do, you're shifting forward to make it easier on your lower body. Try not to do that. Last one. And then bring the carriage back in, set your foot down on the ledge, only one hand off at a time. Come off of that side, shift your other knee to the center of the width, and put your strap on the arch or on the ankle. Find your long line, and leg comes down to the side. Body does not shift forward. So pick a spot on the carriage to look at and make sure your face isn't kind of moving around that spot, stays in the same place. Kind of helps you to figure out if you're shifting. Long through the pelvis, level hips, good. As big a range as you can stay neutral. One last time, press the leg out straight, hold it back there, bend your knee in and press it back out. As you bend and stretch a couple times, if you want to alternate like you did on the other side between parallel and turnout, do that here as well. Last two, and last one. Push the carriage back in, bring the strap back, step off to the side, put the headrest all the way flat. Probably 3/4 to 1 spring will be good, depends on how strong your upper body is. So if you're stronger in your upper body, go for 1 red spring. You're gonna lay on your side with your forearm on the headrest, on the outside of the shoulder rest. Take your top arm into the loop. Part of this is balance. So like your side lying leg position, you're gonna take your arm towards your hip, trying to keep your legs stable. Make sure you're not so far off the end that you're sinking in the shoulder. Ideally, your shoulder is over your elbow. I think all of us are average height, so we can do that. If you want this to be harder, take the arm forward, as neutral as possible. Try not to let the legs get droopy, especially if you're on the shorter end of the spectrum. You have more box underneath you than taller people would. So make sure your legs are really actively lifted. That looks awesome. Yeah, good. And then tricep presses at the side, bend and straighten the elbow. 8, 7, if you want this to be the straight arm going forward and back instead, you could do that instead. Last one. And then return and swing your legs down, put the strap back, roll over to the other side, and we'll do the other side right away. Once you get to the second side, find your balance, top arm in the strap, legs reaching out, and connect through the back of the shoulder to bring the arm down along the side. Good, continue. That looks good. Keeping the legs lifted so the whole torso is contributing to you, holding you in this position. If it feels like the ropes are a little long, you can always hold up higher on the rope instead of in the loop of the strap. That also makes it a little harder, heavier. One more, push the arm down by the side, stay there, bend and straighten, tricep press so the hand is coming forward to bend the elbow. And 3, 2, last one. And then you can rest, swing your legs off, and make sure the box is in the middle for this next part. Try 1 red spring and see if that ends up being too heavy. You can always go to 3/4. Put your feet on the rail and sit on the box. Grab the straps and then scoot further forward so there's lots of space behind you. So if you tipped over, you wouldn't fall off the box. Hopefully you won't tip over though. And then you can kind of walk with your feet until your hands are nearer to you, the sides of your hips. Yeah. So your feet are on these silver rails at the side. Okay, so now round the pelvis under, so you're in like a teaser position. Reach your arms forward, and then I want you to go from sitting up to rounding through the pelvis into your teaser position and lengthening up. Your feet shouldn't be lifting and lowering, they're just gliding. Slide them and slide them, yeah. And then you're gonna round back, stay, and lower and lift the arms. I have to flex my feet to have enough room to move. Feel free to do that as well. 2 more. And last one. And then sitting all the way back up. Good. We're going to do 1 more set of those. Make sure you haven't wiggled backwards at all. So press the arms forward, round back, and then sit up tall and round the pelvis under, and sit up tall and round the pelvis under, and sit up. Last one, round, stay, and lower and lift the arms. We're working towards doing this in a full teaser position where our legs would be held in the air in front of us. Hopefully it feels heavy enough you're working your arms a bit. 1 more time. And then lower the arms. Scooch even further forward and then carefully lay all the way back so your shoulders are near the back edge. This is probably light, but you can always add more once we're here. Find tabletop, open the arms and close the arms. You might even go up to 2 red springs. We're on 1 red. Try to stay flexed as the arms open. There's no real place to rest here. So 2 more, and then we're going to come all the way back up to sitting. Open the arms, take the straps in one hand, use the free hand to help get you up by dropping the legs and rolling to the side to come up off of there. Awesome. Set the box out of your way. And we're gonna bring ourselves to kneeling or sitting cross-legged facing the back of the reformer. 1 red spring should be good. Of course, if we're kneeling, we have to be mindful of not falling over. So glutes and the abs connected, and pull up on the abdominals, and then pulling back in your chest expansion. So it's called chest expansion because we're trying to open across the front of the shoulders, not let them roll forward. So you could do this probably for a long time, letting your hands just kind of teeter-totter back with the shoulder. I want you to think of trying to open the front of the shoulder and push the hand back at the same time. Nice. Press and return, and press and return. Good. Two more. And then 4 circles in each direction, kind of looping out to the side. Lift around. It's pretty much the same kind of range of motion. It's just we're adding a little lift at the beginning. And then reverse. Last one. And then rest. Take the straps in one hand and sit facing the other direction. Obviously, if you need to sit on a platform or something, you're welcome to add that. And put the straps in the correct hand, each on their own side, sitting up really tall. Press your arms forward and return. I'm on my footwork settings. I'm going to just adjust my stopper so I have a little bigger range of motion. Feel free to move to universal settings if that would be better for you. And open across the front of the shoulders, press the arms forward. Doesn't feel too hard, that's okay. And one more time, press the arms forward, round your arms like second position, open and close, and open and close. So you're hugging a tree, keeping the same shape of the arms the whole time. The wrist never gets behind the elbow, so shoulder, elbow, wrist. As you open, wide across the collarbones. Three more. And last one. Lower your arms back down. Then you're going to sweep your arms, go wide of your shoulders, bring your arms up, and you can lean forward in your tricep press. It's a little harder if you're vertical, so you decide if you want to sit up straight. Leaning forward sometimes helps you to feel more connection. Lots of options for the hands. They might be in this kind of prayer position overhead. They might be more like kind of moose antlers, like your thumb coming towards your head and your fingers open and the forearms parallel. Your hands can go behind the head or they can come to the forehead, but you're trying to keep the upper arm the same height the whole time. Yeah, as your arms straighten, kind of resist the desire for your hands to get further apart. Like they're magnetized and they want to stay towards each other. If you get tired, don't just collapse. Always straighten the arms and sweep the arms forward to come back down. 4 more. Last one. And then straight arms, sweep the arms forward to come all the way back down. Awesome. From here, let's switch to your 2 red springs and bring the foot bar back up for knee stretches. So sitting back towards your heels, Round your pelvis under. 2/3 of your weight is back. Your elbows are slightly bent. And then you're gonna push the carriage out, pull it in nice and quick. Push, pull, push, pull. Yeah, Anna, see if you bend your elbows and get your upper body a little lower. Yeah. And now you're kind of in this like, you know, jackrabbit kind of crouch position. Like you're getting punched in the stomach as the carriage comes in. Emphasize in, in. Anatomically, it's pretty impossible to take the legs out further than almost directly under your hips and keep the curl of the pelvis. So don't feel like you have to go so far out. The emphasis is in. In. Think knees kind of under the hips and then come in. Yeah, that's better. Try to round your back more. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Keep a hold of the foot bar. Stand up for elephant. If you need to elevate your heels, you can, but elephant round back. So stand that round shape. Most of your pelvis should be over your feet. And try not to pitch your chest down. Round your ribs and your back up. Yeah, lift your bottom ribs. And then it doesn't feel as hard as knee stretches, but it should feel like a long lever. You're lengthening. Push out from the top of the hamstrings and pull it back in. Round your ribs up, everybody, like you're folding yourself over a picket fence. Think sternum up. So I think most of you are round through your lower back, but the sternum you could round up a little higher in those bottom ribs, which would give you more of a horseshoe shape. Good. And then if you'd like to do knee stretches hovering, you could go to high half toe, stay in the round back, lower yourself towards the carriage and do your knee stretches there. Otherwise, set the knees all the way down. Push out, pull in, push, pull. Shift your weight forward, Anna. Yeah. Good, round your back, nice, Melanie. This is hard, you gotta get your butts down if you're hovering your knees. That looks good, Ginge. 2, last one. Come all the way back in. Go back to your elephant position. If you can, lengthen your spine to neutral or as neutral as possible. Bigger stretch as you come back in. Lift your toes and lengthen through the back of the legs as the carriage comes in. Feel like the sit bones are rolling up towards the ceiling behind you. Keep shifting your weight back. So if you let your weight shift forward over the foot bar, then you won't feel much stretch. Lengthen through your spine. If you're still struggling with hamstring lengthen, feel free to do high half toe and round back instead. Last 2. Shouldn't really feel like much in the arms if your pelvis is far enough back. So if your hamstrings are tight, you're shifted forward, which makes it hard on the arms. So go back to the round back option. One last set of knee stretches, either knees down or knees hovering. So high half toe if you're gonna hover, and neutral or in the round back. In neutral, you should feel like you can push further back. Push, pull, in. 4 more. Last one. Come all the way back in, set your knees down or step off to the side and come off of there. Grab the platform, put the foot bar down, 1 red spring, side splits. So stepping up first on the platform, then on the carriage. Push your carriage out a little bit, bend the knees, and just hold that position. Reach the arms out to the side, rotate your upper body one way, center, rotate the other way. So you try to not let the carriage shove you in, even though It's heavy. Rotate and rotate one more time and rotate. You can bring your hands back to the back of the pelvis like a speed skater. Push out and in. Push, pull, push, pull. Carriage can come all the way into the stopper, but you're trying not to crash. Try to get a little lower, hips level. 3, 2, and last one. Bring it in, straighten your legs, reach your arms and legs apart, and come all the way back in. Do that a couple times. Press out and pull back in. Press out and come back in. Twice more. And last one. Come all the way back in. Go back to that squat position. Hold the carriage a little bit away from the stopper. Reach the arms out to the side and then go into a side bend. One way, hold the carriage and torso still. The other way. Should look like if you were doing this just on solid ground. Side bend. Obviously, you're not transferring more weight onto the carriage. That would move the carriage. And hopefully it wouldn't move you, but one more time. Side bend. And then you can reach your hands back to your pelvis, pumping out 6, 5, 4. Last one. Come all the way back in, stand onto the platform, turn around to face the other direction. Place your feet parallel. Push your legs a little bit away from the stopper. Come down into your squat. Reach your arms out to the side. Hold the carriage still as you rotate one way and rotate the other way. Rotate and rotate. One more each way. And last one. Come back in, hands can go to the pelvis and pumping the carriage leg out. 6, 5, 4. Nice. And then come all the way back in, straighten your arms and legs, pushing out vertical pelvis, nice and tall, try not to bow forward, push out and pull in. One more time. Come back in, find that squat position, push the carriage out, reach the arms out to the side, side bend one way, up nice and tall, side bend the other way, side bend. One more each way, keeping the carriage still. And then hands come back to the back of the pelvis, pumping the carriage out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and last one, 6. Come all the way back in. Step off the back of the reformer. It's just nicer on your knees. Put the carriage, the platform in line with the carriage. So I'll show you where mine is. Like in line with the edge of the carriage. And you can have the foot bar down. Unless you have not great balance, then bring it up, but I worry that you'll keep holding on to it forever. So find that safety versus challenging yourself further opportunity. So bring your standing foot back. If you're really tall, you don't need to stand on a platform, but I am not really tall. So try to get your pelvis as vertical as possible. You're kind of in this flamingo stance, and then just bring your knee underneath you, bring it back. As you do this, I don't want the hips buckling back or the whole shape shifting forward and back. So pelvis stays vertical. Maybe put one hand on the front of the pelvis, one hand on the lower back, and make sure that's not changing. The work is in the standing leg. If it feels like it's too much pressure in your standing knee, feel free to bend that knee a little bit. Obviously, if it's too heavy, you could change it. Anita, back up a lot, like maybe a foot. because I want you to be able to start with your knee that's on the carriage really far in front of the other leg. So it's more about getting your knee to come back in line with the other knee than it is about moving the leg behind you. Yeah, exactly. And adjust the springs as necessary. 4, 3, 2, and last one. And then set your knee down, step your foot forward. You might have to move the platform forward, but you can go to the edge of the platform there. Find a hinged or lunge position. My knee is touching the carriage. I'm gonna shift my weight into my standing side so my knee is now not touching. And then I'm gonna push the leg out, pull it in. Push out, pull it in. Yeah, get low. If you're on the shorter side and you're standing on the platform and your knee keeps hitting the carriage, you need to be standing on something higher. My knee just passes it, and I'm like, say 5'6". Yeah, add some arms of your choice to this leg. Push, pull, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the carriage in. Hold on to the wooden platform. Step your foot way down off of the platform in front of the platform, and then try to flatten your hips all the way open so the front of the thigh is almost touching the carriage or is touching the carriage. And then as the carriage comes in, try not to sink, but lift up out of it. You could bend and straighten that knee. You could lift and lower the knee. And then you can bend your leg, bring the carriage back in, take the platform over to the other side. Line it up where you think it'll work for you. The first one is that flamingo stance. So your standing leg needs to be behind your carriage knee. Your knee is really far forward. That's why I'm calling it flamingo. Yeah. And then you're trying to bring your knee down in line with the other knee. And that should feel like it gets quite heavy as it gets down there. But if you let your pelvis tip, it doesn't really feel like anything. So get vertical neutral through the pelvis, not by tucking, but by lifting through the abs and feeling tall through the front of the pelvis. If you feel back in the back of that moving leg, glute hamstring connection, it should feel like something's going on back there. Good. And last one. And then step your foot forward. If you need to adjust the platform, you may. And find this lunge position, knee touching, and shift your weight into the standing leg, hover the knee, push, pull. Torso staying the same, pumping through that back leg. Should feel lots of work in that standing hip. We did a million on the other side as we sorted it out, so do a couple more, add some arms. Three, 2, and last one. And then step forward to the platform, hold the wood, and push the hip open. Stretch your hip nice and long. You can either straighten the knee to lift the knee off. You can lower the whole pelvis. Should feel like there's a few different stretches in there that are slightly different than your single thigh stretch. And then coming onto the carriage, if you want to put the platform over the springs, you could. I'm just wrapping my fingers around the edge of the wooden platform. See if you can push out to a plank and hold. Hold. When you get tired, bring your knees back down and in. Yeah, awesome. And again, push out and hold. If you want to do a little push forward and back, you can. It's not going to be super big. Take a break when you start to lose form. One more time. Press out. Hover the knees. Hold. Connect to the back of the shoulders. Little push back and forward. And then you can bring your knees back down and in. Bring your feet together on the headrest dish area and do a little shell stretch. Just stretch your back open. Take a breath or two. Take both hands to one side. Kind of offset the hips to stretch in the opposite direction. Then take both hands to the other side. Kind of shift your hips. And then when you're ready, you can come up off of there mindfully. And you're all done. Good job.